I drew a picture of life, the universe, and everything. And I'm going to show that to you now. And I'm not an artist, but. All right, so this is my picture of life, the universe, and everything. It can be interpreted in lots of different ways, but essentially, it's it's a scale. So the scale is recognition. The wave is everything, right? So light, sound, matter, ideas, anything that is a thing is a wave in some form or another. And in the middle there, it's no thing, right? It's nothing. So when a wave settles down to zero, that's the death of the wave. Um, the experiencer or the subject is not a thing, right? So it's constant. It has no ups and downs. Um, I think that nothing still exists on the scale, right? So nothing can still be recognized, and think there's a I think I think it can be wonderful. It can be great. That can be enlightenment, but it can also be problematic. So it can be um, dissociation. It can be numbness. Um, there are many ways that we try to find this middle line, right? It can be peace. It can be rest, right? Those are some positive associations with the middle line, with zero. It can be death, right? So death brings you back to zero. Zero in itself represents nothing, right? So when we're searching for peace, we're searching for rest. Those are positive ways of saying we're trying to find nothing. When we're searching for enlightenment, that is also what we're searching for. Um, and then, suicidal ideation is some way search for death, right? Or some people without suicidal ideation maybe get comfort in the idea that someday they will die. The uh, Neo Advaita folks, Tony Parsons, Jim Newman, Tim Kliss, those guys, they describe enlightenment as, Tony died, Jim died, Tim died, right? And people go to their sessions and want to figure out how they too can die. How can the self die? But they don't want this to go away at the same time, right? That's what makes enlightenment. It's like something dies, but something still goes on. Um, this this whole train of thought came out of me trying to sort of conceptualize how can suicidal ideation and the fear of missing something coexist. Because in people that I have spoken to who have a lot of suicidal ideation, it seems like they also have a lot of fear of missing something, which seems contradictory. Um, but I think they're actually onto something, right? Because I think that we want both of these things, and we have both of these things, and enlightenment can kind of be in recognition of having both of these things. So I think that in the search for zero, um, a lot of folks will numb themselves to emotions, right? And so they have this feeling of numbness, which leads to depression, right? The emotions are being depressed or suppressed. Um, Now, the truth is, emotions don't go anywhere. Feelings don't go anywhere. They can't be suppressed, they're still there. All that can be suppressed is your experience of them. Um, so, in someone who says they feel numb, it's not that the feelings have gone away. It's that the recognition of those feelings have gone away. So you don't ever get rid of this. That is life itself, ups and downs. You won't experience the positives if you're not also experiencing the negatives, right? You can't have a wave that just has positives. That doesn't exist. Waves have to go both ways, and that's everything in life. That's going to be your emotions. That's going to be your accomplishments. It's going to be your story, right? So, and a lot of people try to erase parts of their story. They don't want to think about bad things that happen in their story. But in order to really experience life, you have to experience your story, which means you've got to love both the ups and the downs, right? And maybe love is a strong word, but love helps you come to being at peace with your ups and downs. Or sometimes it's the other way. Being at peace with your ups and downs can help you come to loving your ups and downs too. So they work in tandem. But if you're numb to your ups and downs, what that means is that all that you've numbed out is your experience. So what should be zero, right? It shouldn't be your experience of life, because then you're not really living life. It shouldn't be your emotions, because that's just not possible. It's not going to be your thoughts. Your thoughts are going to go into positive territory and negative territory. It's not your story. You're going to have ups and downs within your life story. But really, I think it comes down to your judgment, right? So enlightenment, what's at zero, is your interpretation. And the interpretation is that it's always perfect, right? So you may be here in your story where things are up. You may be here in your story where things are down. But you are always at whatever moment you're at, and you recognize every moment as perfection. And perfection is what brings you back to zero. And then you're absolutely free to notice your emotions, right? Because you don't need to numb your experience when all experiences are perfect. Anxiety as an emotion still comes up, right? I had a big presentation to do at work recently, and boy, howdy, did that emotion come up. My experience of it was so strong because I don't have any reason to numb out my experience anymore. But my recognition of it, my judgment of it, was that it was perfect. This is exactly right, exactly how things should go. And it's because I can look at my history, every part of my story I can love. So I know that every part of the story that's coming up is something that can also be loved.